in that situation, how do you navigate that?
I think that what the right-wing press does when they try to talk about an issue like this is avoid it at all costs. And if they have to cover it because it's news, then they try to frame it in a way that reproduces the racist colonization of Palestine. And the framing can be, in a word, can be described as Zionist, right? These right-wing media will tend to frame any discussion about my client's application in explicitly Zionist terms. They will try to, I mean, let's be clear, like, I was reading the Wikipedia article, as you do, of October 7th, and it described October 7th as a tactical victory for the Palestinians. So even just dispassionately, descriptively, it's clear that what happened on October 7th was a tactical victory. It was a defeat for Israel and for Zionists. And so what I think the right-wing press, what the British government and so on are trying to do is they're trying to undo the damage that was done to Israel's standing. They're trying to pretend that Israel was not humiliated, because that's what happened, right? Israel was humiliated. It's an organization, it's an entity that rests upon a sort of image of indestructible military power, and that image was completely shattered on October 7th. And so when the right-wing media tries to talk about this application, they will try to, I almost conceive of it as trying to reconstruct the walls of the concentration camp of Gaza, right? It's like, it's very neatly microcosmic, right? Zionism is preoccupied with viewing Palestinians as this racial threat, and what Zionism wants is the land without the people. And that's why Gaza looks the way that it does. That's why 2.3 million people were herded into a concentration camp. It's because they're deemed to be the wrong race. And October 7th was this attempt to literally break out of that concentration camp. And so when right-wing media try to interview me, it seems as though they're almost trying to hem in what escaped on October 7th. And what escaped more than anything was Palestinian dignity, right? You can't herd people into a concentration camp like that and expect them to take it lying down, because it's undignified. To treat people like they're a problem because they're the wrong race is undignified. So it's quite a meandering answer, but I'm speaking plainly, right? Like, these right-wing, these mainstream media outfits in Britain that I've been speaking to, they are deeply, sometimes even without realizing it, they are extremely committed to a worldview according to which there is a racial hierarchy, that Israel can basically do no wrong, and that Zionism is this positive exercise of Jewish self-determination, rather than what I think the application tries to show, which is that Zionism is a racist colonial ideology that's fundamentally premised on the idea of a racial hierarchy and of treating non-Jews like a racial threat. And the crucial kicker, I think, is that we must not fall into the trap of blaming Jews for Zionism. That's Zionist logic, right? Zionism tries to say all Jews are committed to or benefit from or somehow must be implicated in Zionism. Zionism was created by racist British colonizers in the 19th century who were not Jewish. And latterly it has been taken up by, there was an intervening period where the French Empire was the main sponsor of Zionism, and then the baton was passed to the US. Andreas Malm's pamphlet, The Destruction of Palestine is the Destruction of the Earth, is very good on this, right? Israel would collapse tomorrow were it not for the support of the US and its NATO allies. And so part of what's happening in this application, one of the things I found very moving about Dr. Musa Abu Marsik's witness statement is the moment where he expresses his gratitude to Jews who have shown solidarity with Palestinians, shown solidarity even with, even from within Israel.
And that exists within the letter or the original. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he literally writes his witness statement and he talks explicitly about his gratitude towards Jewish people who've turned their back on Zionism.
I think a lot of people would be very surprised to hear that, probably.
Absolutely, and that's what Zionists are terrified of, right? Like, I did an interview on Israeli TV, but it was pre-recorded, and I suspect that they're not going to air it, because you could see that, like, I tried to be very human with the woman who was interviewing me, and she struck me as very scared, this, I assume, Jewish Israeli woman. And she was, by the tenor of the question she was asking, you could see that she'd never had to think about this. She never had to think of Hamas as if they were real people. And Hamas, of course, don't appear on Israeli television.
Of course.
And so I had this bizarre function of thinking, well, I'm a lawyer from Ireland called to the Bar of England and Wales, and I can appear on a news programme and talk to you. And I was just this guy in a suit sort of saying, and she was sort of saying, oh, what, so Hamas can just commit whatever crimes they want on October 7th and kill whoever they want and they can just get away with it. And I just calmly said, no, not at all. Like, Hamas is really committed to accountability. They take internal and external accountability very seriously. They welcome the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, and it's Israel that refuses to tolerate the presence of that jurisdiction within Palestine. And it's like she was pushing against this straw man, or she was like, it's like she imagined that I was occupying territory that I wasn't occupying. And I think there's a lot of that in the discourse around Hamas. It's like they're these painted to be these cartoon villains, when actually they're just the manifestation of Palestinian dignity that's been denied for, certainly in the case of the siege of Gaza, close to 2 decades, but really in the case of Zionism for the entire duration of that project. It's a project that's fundamentally premised on denying the existence of Palestinians as fully human and as needing dignity. And Hamas, I mean, the first paragraph of the conclusion of the application that I helped to draft talks about how Zionism is and always has been a staggering affront to Palestinian dignity. And if Hamas did not exist, the Palestinian people would invent it.